Well, this is lady smock, folks, known by the Latin name of Cardamine pratensis, part of the bittercress family, and it has got quite a peppery crest taste. Very nice in all sandwiches. A little wander through the woods, just a short walk, and my lovely lady. Let's just get a bum. Ah, there she is, bumming a kiss. Best time of the day during the week. Get no annoying school kids in here. But they wouldn't be so annoying if they didn't insist on riding motorbikes and using air rifles. And this is public woodland. There's Alfie, the fly catching dog. Well, at least he tries. Quite funny to watch, really. There you go, quite an invasive species this. It's Rhododendron ponticum. All the way from Spain, no less. But there is archaeological evidence of this being around in the Ice Age. But it does have beautiful flowers, you must admit. Well folks, that sort of orangey haze you can see, the seed heads of common sorrel. There's an awful lot of it here. There we go. In fact, what I'll do, I'll come down. There we go. Some buttercups. It's a nice area. Unfortunately, most of this is going to be built on. They're going to not chop down that, and they're going to do some corridors across here for the deer. Right, in the far distance there, that's an old Iron Age fort, now surmounted by two towers made of metal. Bit ironic, really. Iron on an Iron Age fort. It's not a bad area. We've just come from in there, and we're swinging round, and we're going to go into there, down by where that gap is, and then sort of swing that way. That side has some few wood ants nest through there. I'll swing round, and there's the delightful wild abalone. You don't see these beasties very often. They're very scarce, but they're gorgeous. Well folks, that's the greater stitchwort, another small wild edible, and I think it can be used medicinally as well. It's part of the Stellaria family, named after the star-like shape of the flowers. And chickweed is part of the same family. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And again, let's have another little pan around. There's another wild edible and another medicinal plant. Actually, if you powder this plant, it'll staunch bleeding. Legend has it that Achilles at the siege of Troy used this upon his troops, hence its Latin name Achillea milliforum. Milliforum meaning many leaves and flowers. Wonderful little plant, and makes a type of tea that induces sweating. It's actually very tasty as well. I've drunk it often. Again, anything below the knee you should really wash, but it's not so bad here because not so many doggies are about. Of course, the one wild edible I'd love to find is pignut. I've not found it round here. There's one or two places that you do find it, but they're quite far from this area. But there's no need to worry. I'll find some one day. And I'd love to have access to a private woodland. Every time I get the sniff of something happens and the whole thing falls through. But I keep my hopes up high. Now, yeah, it's great. Going to start spending a few more nights out. Yeah, just a night out under the old hammock or bivvy bag, but I'm trying to find different areas to do this in rather than the very local woodlands that I use, basically for different environments and the experience, because each area has its own unique biosystem, so to speak. Yeah. And anyway, I'm going to carry on walking, I'm catching up with my darling Avalon, and there'll be a few more shots down the line. Anyway, bye. Well, there we go, folks. This is silverweed. You can eat the roots, and in fact the roots were used in times of famine as a starch replacement. I mean, it does take a lot of gathering. When you're gathering wild food, particularly roots in it, you've got to balance out the amount of energy you expend to the amount of energy you will take in. If you're expending 50 calories but only gathering 25 calories, it's really not worth the effort. But that'll be only in a survival situation, which will be very rare these days. And the leaves of the silverweed was often put into shoes to comfort the feet. And we're going to go down that way. Well, right through here, my friends, we have Japanese knotweed and little doggy at the top there. Could almost call this an introduced wild edible. You can eat it like asparagus apparently. I've not tried it, and you could cook it up like rhubarb. I'll have to look into my books about this one. Of course, it grows abundantly in the UK because there's no known natural predator for it, whereas in Japan it just grows in small clumps. Look at it all the way through there. Ah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's a wonderful piece of woodland. Some nice Scots pines and spruces through there. Most of this is plantation, or was plantation. Deer come up this track, across there, and right up through there. A very well lit and lovely looking deer run there. Mostly for roe deer that are bound round here, and one or two escapee seeker. And down that track somewhere is a little doggy doing his foraging. When I come back here in the autumn, hopefully, like last year, it'll be full of wonderful boletes of one form or another, whether they're birch, larch, or the most prized of all, the cep. This is proven to be rather a nice walk in the woods. Here we've got some wood sage. It's a member of the mint family. You can tell because it's got opposing leaves, and if you touch the stem it's square. Unfortunately, it might be called wood sage, but it's slightly toxic and cannot be eaten. It is a non-edible, and there's quite a bit of it around here. It's rather nice. Some honeysuckle growing right up that tree there. Look at that. That's going to be wonderful later in the year. And of course, the thicker stems of the honeysuckle, they shed their bark slightly, so you can actually get some fine tinder off it. There's my wonderful Avalon again. And I think this one is bugloss. I shall have to look in my book on that one. And of course, I don't know whether you can pick them up, but there's lots of little ants, wood ants, so you have to be careful. Another source of food actually. You can disturb the nest for the eggs and eat them. It's not appropriate to do that now. Let the little people walk around. It's nice, very very nice through here. Of course, as I said earlier, carnivorous plantation. It's a nice day. We've had some extremely hot weather. In fact, it was so hot on Sunday I didn't even bother going out. It was too hot. Coming down. I think this is sunk foil. I should look again. I should look in my book when I get home. If you don't regularly keep stuff in your head and keep researching stuff, it does slip through the holes in your brain, or at least it does in mine. You know, it does bode well if you research and read regularly these things. I think that is water pepper down there. I'm just going to go and have a look. Well, it wasn't water pepper, unfortunately. Would have been nice. I could have picked a good handful, made some wasabi. Well, it's just a nice walk through these woods. Seen hairy bittercress. It's past its best, and these are a wood of possibilities, because in the autumn there's going to be lots of fungi. Well, there we have some broom, so called because it was actually harvested to make broom heads. It's very similar shapes to besoms, and a lovely splash of colour to this piece of heathland. Some young sapling birches, bit of sweet chestnut. Well folks, it's somewhere there's a fawn. We just see the deer disappear over the top. Unfortunately I wasn't sharp enough with the old camera, hence being prepared should have been there. Yeah, somewhere in there's a fawn. It shows you how well camouflaged they can be. Beautiful day. And poor old Avalon's just discovered wood ants in her toes. Do you know what folks, I really can't believe this. Twice I've missed photo opportunities. Somewhere in there's a lovely fox, beautiful colour fur. I really can't believe that this has happened twice in about 5 minutes. But it's such a beautiful area here. Well, out here we are. Rather spiny, prickly, stabby little wild Estible. You go right down there, and just down there underneath the ground is the edible part. And of course it has rather beautiful flowers, does the thistle. Well, we've come to almost to the end of our little walk through the woods, and down here we've got Rose Bay Willow Herb. I'm going to have to... There we go. Yeah, it's a very useful plant. You can infuse the leaves, make a refreshing drink. The pith you can eat, or you can use to thicken soups and stews, which we found very useful on the Journeyman. And the seed heads can be used as a tinder. All in all, useful little plant. Purple vetch might not be inedible, but it's a pretty little flower.